So then they go on up. Remember, they're moving up the levels from the animal to the very highly spiritual. And they say as we move up a level, we find the influence of the persona. This influence, also found in the area just behind the frontal lobe, comes in the form of quiet hunches, help, and that still small voice. These come from those portions of the persona wishing to again find a path for expression of self. And they're saying now, does that sound like a lot of words? And boy, doesn't it sound like a lot of words? And they say, think about it. Let's say you were to die tomorrow. Your experience in this life would combine with the other experiences or other lives you have lived. Let's also say that your persona enters a new monkey, and that monkey begins its journey through life. As time passes, this monkey man has an experience or an event occurs which falls into the area of life you knew well. In other words, it's getting into a trouble area that you got into and you found a solution to, let's say. Wouldn't you want to try to influence a new monkey and point it in the right direction? If you were allowed only hunches, that still small voice and the like to get your message through, would you try anyway? If the new monkey were more sensitive to that area of the mind than most, would you benefit? That is the good side. Now the bad. Could a person be so sensitive to that area that he would lose his identity to the facets of that persona who wanted life again? Is that what multiple personalities are? Do you see why slow and careful is needed rather than drugs and now and I can't wait? Do you now see why there is a guardian at both ends of the gate of awareness? Then they say, let's go on up the scale of the mind where we find the soul and its flashes of knowledge. There is no other way to explain the way the soul communicates. Those who have had the experience know what we are talking about. You just know in a flash a whole segment of data, and that data is for sure. It is not a hunch or a thought that might be possible. It is a fact, and you know it. This is a rare occasion in most people, since the soul is rarely involved in the affairs of man. Actually, the soul is rarely awake enough to recognize that the affairs of man even exist. So they said that the persona influenced you in that still small voice, hunches, feelings, boy, this doesn't look good, or oh, this looks really good, hunches. And as they move on up the scale of the mind, they go to the soul and the flash of knowledge. If you've ever had those things, you know what they're talking about. It's like a book, a whole book dumped on you, you know, and you have to, and you know something happened. And you know now that you know something, but you have to go back and read the book. You have to go back and think about it and kind of unfold it and open it up and see what it was it said. You know it. You can even function on the basis of the knowledge that you were given without opening the book up. But you don't know what you know because it all came in one big piece. In other words, you couldn't put it into words. You know it, but you can't put it into words. And in order to put it into words, you have to open it up and unfold it and put it into words, and then you can verbalize it to somebody and tell them what it was that you know. But if you've never had the experience, there's no way to tell you how you know, because you know before you can verbalize it. You know for a fact that it's true. That's the soul. That's the soul's projection. And then they go on and they say, that's as far as we need to go, since the oversoul and on, anything past the oversoul, rarely enters into man's affairs, leaving that in the capable hands of the soul and the persona. Besides, you have enough to work on already. And so then they go on to the next chapter, which is how the total mind enters our awareness, and they're going to explain that to you. And they say, as we said, the discussion of our mind would be divided into two parts. The first part above gives the full range of thought available to man. Full range of mind, thought maybe mind be more accurate. And so you've gotten the full range from the cellular, emotional input all the way up to the, and they didn't go to the oversoul, but at least to the soul's input. And then they go on and say, this next part will try to convey how this full range of thought going on all the time enters man's limited awareness in his material world. Again, as we said, this will be technical in nature, and for those those who need to know. If you don't need to know, go on to the level that comes after level 4. Now, for those of you that do need to know, this is level 4. And they say, and they say, if you are still with us, you had better know that your awareness is trapped in the material world for a reason. You had better know who or what that trapped awareness serves and how. We are going fast, but if you haven't figured it out, read on. You might by the end of this information. Here they are again with this little short paragraph saying, for those in level 4 now, you understand you're supposed to be pretty sharp people. You had better know who or what that trapped awareness serves and how. You have a trapped awareness. It's trapped in the material world. Why? And by the time this discussion's done, you should have figured it out if you haven't already. And so they're going on here with the understanding that we're talking about how the total mind of man enters your awareness. In other words, they already told you that your awareness kind of centers around this one little part, just the material, physical, mathematical, logical, rational part of your brain. And that's where the major manifestation comes from, which makes this earth appear real and solid. And you touch, feel, taste, smell, and hear. And if it doesn't do any of those, it doesn't exist, sort of thing. And so they're saying, now, how does all of this mind enter your awareness if it does? And then they go on and say, for this discussion, we will assume that man is only aware of that part of his mind which would be considered normal. We know there are those who can tap into other areas of the mind. If you know, you also know that it takes time and training. This is not the time or the place for that work. Thus, we will assume that you have a normal awareness and need to know how and in what form those other parts of the mind enter your awareness. So now they've restricted those of you who know to trying to remember what it was like to have normal awareness, because that's the form, basis, that's where they're going to come from as they explain to you how the total mind enters your awareness if it does. You understand that? If you have more than normal awareness, you'll be aware of some of these things. Most people aren't. They're talking to most people. If you are, okay. If you aren't, you're normal. That sort of thing. So then they go on. We'll be going to the lowest part of the mind. And as we said before, the assumption being that the monkey is the lowest part and the soul is the highest part. So they'll be going to the lowest part of the mind first and begin to move up the ladder as you would up the keys of a piano. At the bottom level, then, there are the bodily functions of the man-monkey, which almost never enter man's awareness. Those are subconscious. They would be considered subconscious most of the time. When they do enter man's awareness, it's usually with pain or discomfort, and the message that there is pain and discomfort. You know, stomach ache, headache, those kind of things. And then they kind of, as a side note, they say, it's always been interesting to us to see how you are told to take care of those messages. Take this new extra strength, super duper painkiller, and your pain will go away. And they say, go away? Are you being told to stamp out some portion of your own mind? Are you being told to drug your awareness that you will stay in the material world? If you say no, then tell us what you were taught to do after you take the super duper painkiller. Lay in bed and take it easy. Take the day off and meditate on the cause of the message, the pain, the cause of it. Change some of the things you do that are causing this message, this pain. No, that is not what you are taught. You are taught to get back to work, back to your fence-starved children, back to your husband, back to your party, back to your directionless, queenless, purposeless world. That is what you are taught. And then they stopped that part. See what they said there? Another one of those paragraphs that you're told to take this extra strength, super painkiller, and the pain will go away. They're asking, are you being told to stamp out some portion of your own mind? Are you being told to drug your awareness so that you will stay in the material world? Stay in the material world? Why did they say that? They say that because, especially if you say, no, that's not what it's for, it's just to get rid of the pain. They say, no, then tell us what you're taught to do after you take this super duper painkiller. If you got pain, there's a reason, right? Lay in bed, take it easy. Maybe it's stress. Take the day off, meditate on the cause of the pain, change something you're doing to get rid of the pain. No, it's not what you're told to do. You're told to get out there and go back to work. That's the first one, and the main one, go back to work. Then the second one is take care of your, and they just say fence, starve children. Go into that in book 4 a lot. Fence, starve children. Back to your husband, back to the party, back to your directionless, queenless, purposeless world. And that's what you're taught. So, making a point, drug the pain so that you can get back to what? Your purposeless world. Boy, I tell you, don't they see things different than we do?